Welcome to Fear Babes Podcast, a podcast made for Fear Fam members by Fear Fam members.
We would like to remind you that Fear Babes Podcast is not affiliated with the Project Fear crew in any way.
Everything we discuss on this podcast is strictly our own opinions.
My name is Madeline.
My name is Burgundy.
My name is Jamie.
And we are the Fear Babes.
Hello, babies. Guess who's back? Hope you missed me. Welcome back to Fear Babes Podcast.
I missed you, Jay. Last week, we discussed the first episode of Joliet Prison, which was Tanner's pick. And this week, there is no Project Fear episode.
Dakota and Connor are working really hard to get us the second half of Joliet Prison. But in the meantime, we're here. We're giving you another podcast episode. We're not skipping. This week is just going to be pure chaos. And we may dip into a little bit of Project Fear here and there, but mostly we're going to wing it.
Who cares about those guys?
I never heard of them.
What's Project Fear?
What's that?
I'm not wearing the march right now.
Ditto, though.
Pardon? How was your week, weenies?
Mads, your laughs are on point today. I don't know what it is, but...
It's me being in a good mood.
Oh, finally, fuck.
I think Bitchy has exited the building.
Yeah.
It only took 7 episodes, but, you know, here we are.
It's okay. We got you.
It's the real me. It's the real me. Well, my week was pretty good. Had to take a mental health day on Wednesday, but worth it. So worth it. I kind of think that if you just take a day in the middle of the work week, that's not a weekend, it can rejuvenate and recharge you mentally sometimes just to be away and out of the office. If you work in an office environment, it helped me. I feel so much better just from one day. So I can only imagine what it would be if I could have a whole week.
A whole week of doing nothing.
It would be
important.
Yeah, it is. So yeah, my week was awesome for the most part.
Can I go back to the beach now? I want to go back beach.
I do beach next week.
You bring me?
I want to go to a beach.
Sure, if you want to. I'm going to the Outer Bank.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Berg, how was your week, little weenie?
Fucking weenie.
Lil Weenie. That could be a rapper name. That's actually probably Dakota's new rapper name. Still Lil Vape. It should be Lil Weenie because he's a fucking weenie.
Facts.
Anyways, my week was alright. Nothing too exciting happened. Nothing too dull happened either. So it just was. I mean, on Friday in our Zoom call at work, I had to do a training in front of everybody, and it's only the second time I've done it, so I got all nervy and weird.
You nailed it.
It made me scared and anxious, so that was a fun time. And then for 2 hours afterwards, I was like,
It's okay. They were looking at you the whole time wow, she's hot.
okay.
That was it.
Can I?
Wow.
Yeah, I want a guy to look at me like I'm hot.
Yeah, that too. No,
Never
they're
had
all...
that.
Madeline, that was so fucking incorrect. You are wrong. I've witnessed it with my own eyeballs.
You know what's crazy though is that I say that, but literally yesterday at the bank I had an experience and I was just like, why can't it just be a hot guy, please?
Huh.
Well, there's my hell card. I'm on the hell train. Adios.
What does that mean?
It means that I wasn't attracted to the guy. I was being an asshole.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't an asshole to him. I don't know, man. I don't know.
If you're not attracted to him, you're not attracted to him.
I'm ready for my Prince Charming.
Are you, though? Are you really?
Okay, it's funny because last week
you say you are, but then you say you're not.
I know. Last week on last week's podcast, Jay, I literally said, I'm not looking for a relationship. If it happens, it happens. And then this week I'm like, where is my Prince Charming?
Get over here.
So back and forth.
Someday my prince will come. Wink, wink.
Jay, I would like to point out how Madeline just diverted.
Fuck you.
Okay. When and where?
Well, let me set the mood. 1 room, 1 bed, an air mattress, maybe 1 candle if we're really feeling it.
Okay. What is the scent of this candle?
Well,
Your mom.
Choose wisely. That's not it.
Why not?
the scent of the candle is... What's a good scent? Because, like, I love Bath and Body Works candles, and let me just tell you, any of their candles... Oh, no, I know. Like an apple cinnamon kind of scent.
Absolutely not.
That will not turn me on, sorry.
What?
Try again.
Apple cinnamon doesn't turn you on?
Not like that.
I smell that
It
shit.
turns me on to wanting desserts I can't have.
Okay.
It makes
so-
me think of fall and winter, and it makes me want to throw the fuck up. So,
Oh.
like,
Well-
That's aggressive.
First of all, Valentine's Day is technically in the winter. So,
Mhm.
okay.
fun fact. I've never had a Valentine.
Me either. Twinsies. Air high five.
Oop.
All right. Well, I'll just go
Wanna-
fucking
wanna
jump
see?
off a bridge then.
Why?
You have a perma Valentine.
I thought I was Valentine's.
You're our Galentine.
You're our Galentine, Jay. Okay, anyways, so bring it back to how was our week, Queenies? So I got all nervy on the Zoom call, and it's funny because I have no problem talking to you guys or being weird in front of, people that not everybody wants to be weird in front of. But then when I get on a Zoom call with 12 coworkers, I'm like, I don't do public speaking. It's like when you have to present a PowerPoint in front of the class and you get all shaky and sweaty. Baby Jay, how was your week?
My week was just terrible, but great. It was great, but terrible. I started off the week coming back from vacation with my kids in the class on top of me, all up in my grill. And I was like, yo, personal space, right?
They just missed you. Like, if we were in the same room with you, we'd be all up in your personal space, too.
But I was so miserable. I woke up that morning and had to stop myself from crying because I had to go back to
Aw.
work. So, for those of you who don't know, I am in an autistic support classroom. So, either the kids want absolutely nothing to do with you, or they are literally like they
Clingy?
want to be inside of you. Like they can't get
Whoa.
close enough. Don't be weird.
That's a lot to handle.
It's a lot. My week consisted of one kid who is a grown ass boy sitting on my lap, sticking his hand down the back of his pants
Oh.
and trying to stay on my lap, and I was like, yeah, time to go. Not on my watch. Gross, right? Yes. My kid,
Gross, right? Yes.
yes,
I love that you answered that for us.
Whew, it sounds bad to you guys, but just imagine. I don't know what the hell is going on. My kid had her face on my face at all times, forehead to forehead, nose to nose. I'm just like, what's happening? Back up a little bit, please. I had to change a diaper of a third grader that is the size of a grown-ass man. Probably, like, he weighs more than me. He's in third grade, going into fourth grade this year. It was different. I didn't know what to do for him. It was a week. I'm so happy it's the weekend.
Ooh, well, that's a lot, Jay.
Happy week.
Happy weekend.
2 days left to work before I'm on part 2 of summer vacation, which is great before the school year starts.
Good.
We'll make it.
You will.
Yes.
Do either of you go kayaking for one?
No.
Jamie?
You know I have a fear of water.
Okay, well, maybe close your ears for this part.
Oh boy.
So Tuesday's a full moon, right?
Oh,
So we're going night kayaking
no.
on
Are
the
you
river.
fucking crazy?
We're just going to float the river for an hour and a half in the kayaks at 9 p.m.
Okay, so let me just say that sounds all good, fun, and dandy in theory. However, my fear of water lies with the nighttime. I don't like not being able to see what's going on.
We'll be able to see, don't worry.
No.
It's so also this part
It's
of the river
different.
that we're floating is pretty shallow. Like I went 2 or 3 weeks ago, and when we got to like the middle section, I was literally scraping the bottom with my kayak.
Okay, that makes me feel a little bit better about it.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure like if I fell out, I could just stand up. Be fine.
Still, it's mostly the ocean that freaks me out. Like I start thinking about things because the ocean is so big
And fast.
and yeah, and I start thinking in my historian brain when I'm out in like the ocean, I think about the ships that sunk and all the thousands and thousands of
Oh.
bodies that are at the bottom of the
So
ocean.
You're thinking of the ocean ghosts
Yeah.
that are gonna swim up and grab your feet.
Yeah. You know how when we were in Philly and I was thinking about how that river that we were on, probably had so many dead bodies at the bottom of it.
They wash away with the currents.
Yeah, but their bones could still be down there.
I mean, some animals probably eat some of the bones.
Possibly. But it's just one of those things that I think about, that if it's not there presently, it was there at some point in time, and that kind of bothers me a little bit.
Valid.
That's what creeps me out. Like in harbors and stuff like that. And one's prefer, like, on the East Coast, where our history is so rich because we were the beginning of this nation. Like, we date back to early times. So I was thinking about all the ships that came in and what's out there. Like, how I'm going to the Outer Banks?
Yep.
Well, where I'm going to in the Outer Banks is where Blackbeard had sailed. I mean, he sailed everywhere on the Outer Banks, really. But at their maritime museum, they are still finding pieces of his ship from almost 3 centuries ago. So, which is really cool.
Siak! Nice.
But it's also really creepy to think about. You know what I mean? Like, they still find pieces of gold and artifacts, all that kind of stuff that's at the bottom of the ocean. It's like an open grave, That's how I see it.
You know what's scariest about the bottom of the ocean?
SpongeBob lives there.
No.
I wish.
That bitch can hold a hell of a rager, let me tell you. No, it's not the dead bodies. It's the things that eat the dead bodies.
True.
The bottom of the ocean is so fucking big. Imagine what can live down there.
I know. It makes me sick. Like, okay, I don't know if you guys have ever been to like a Titanic museum, but Titanic has always had this piece of my heart since I was young, to the point where I'm like, did I have a past life? Like, did I die on the Titanic? Was I on the Titanic? Like, I've had this weird connection to the Titanic my whole life. And I went to a Titanic museum in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. In the museum, they have real artifacts from the White Star Line. Like, they have deck chairs, they have plates, they have shoes, they have all this other kind of stuff that were on the ship that belonged to people. And it's so haunting to look at stuff like that for me, because I know that it was at the bottom of the ocean. And I'm like, oh my God, this artifact right here has seen things, like things that I can't even
saw the Loch Ness Monster.
Things that we don't even know exist. Like,
right.
That's where it really freaks me out. I don't know what it is, but like the sinking of a ship, it disturbs my inner being so much. Like, I can't explain it. I don't know. Again, with my obsession with Titanic, I've watched videos of like the real time of it sinking. I'm a nerd, okay? Leave me alone. It's like 2.5 hours long because it sunk so fast. That's a whole thing. I'm not going to get into all that. My little historian brain, please, Jesus. I have so many facts in this noggin. But watching it break off and the sounds that they know that it made as it sunk disturbs me so bad. And like the screaming that was out there. They're out there in still waters. It's freezing cold. It's an April night. There's not a cloud in the sky. And all that there's out there is silence, and then screams, and then this loud breaking of a ship, and then it's sinking and it making that sound. No. I just got cold chill. It's very creepy to me. For some reason, Titanic is just the creepiest to me because of how far it went down.
Yeah.
But that's enough of that. I'm done with my rant. I don't want to bore you. Okay.
Last week, Mads and I did a baby therapy session, if that's what you want to call it. And several people said they really enjoyed that. Shall we do one this time?
Yeah.
You know what I was thinking? Just to be totally real with our audience, because my dedication to people who are actually listening to us because they enjoy listening to us, fucking weirdos. Love you though. I'm just kidding. I love you guys. I feel like the more real we are, the more people can resonate with us. And
true.
If anybody can get anything out of us sharing our own experiences in life, like if we could just help one person get through a tough time, then I feel like we've done a good job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, everybody knows that we're the Feel Babes and we're the 3 best friends that anyone could have, right?
To that, bitches.
But friendship is work, and friendship is not always easy. And people always romanticize friendship, but a lot of times a lot of friendships fail because people don't want to put in the work to keep or have friendships. I thought that it would be good therapy sesh topic this week for us to be like, listen, we're tight and we got this, but the reason we got this is because we have to be real with each other and have hard conversations and have to be willing to do that and listen to one another and respect one another and have compassion for the fact that we don't always understand one another completely. And I just thought that would be a great topic for this week's little mini therapy sesh.
It's true though, because, you know, for me, I have a lot of friends, fortunately, because, I mean, I'm fucking awesome, obviously. Nah.
I mean, I'm fucking awesome, but it's been hard for me to keep friends, but we'll talk about that in a few minutes.
That's like,
after you finish your thought, and if Jay has anything to add, then I can circle back on that.
It's one of those things where I've had friendships that are 10 plus years old. Some of them are approaching 15 years because I'm just one of those people where my love language, in a nutshell, when I say love language, obviously I don't mean in a romantic way. I just mean in a general relationship kind of way. It doesn't matter what relationship you have. Friendships, you're romantically involved, if it's your family, whatever, all of that. Communication is the key.
Literally, communication is the beginning and the end of everything.
Yeah, like, even though Sierra is like, of course I love you guys. You guys are like my best friends too. But Sierra is the one constant that has been in my life. And so have others, but she's always one of those people where I can call her. Like when let me give you an example. My brother Sam in 2021, 2 years ago, while he was at work, he chopped off the very tip of his finger. He had the whole tip of his finger removed. At the time, it was very traumatic. And the first person I called was Sierra. And I was like, dude, Samuel chopped the tip of his finger off. Like, will you please ride with me and be like my support system? She didn't think twice about it. She was like, yep, I'm on my way. I'm coming to get you. We're riding up to Charlotte. We're doing this. And so she was just with me, and I was like having a panic attack because it's my brother, you know? And I was so worried because I didn't know how bad it was. But long story short, because she can physically be here with me, she's always the one that's holding my hand. But we haven't always been, it took a lot to get to where we are.
Yeah.
Like, we've had to have a lot of very difficult conversations, especially since we lived together.
I have had many friendships that communication was absolute shit, and I'm just kind of here now. I don't really talk to anybody that I used to be friends with anymore because I would use open lines of communication and it wouldn't work. It was like a brick freaking wall. It's very touch and go sometimes, you know?
Yeah.
You don't know how people are going to react or how it's going to go. And you guys are lucky if you have someone that's willing to put in that work, besides us, of course. But like,
well, I was gonna say the most matched people willing to put in the equal amount of work for me are you two, and you live 1,700 miles away. So
it's true. Like, going off of what Jamie was saying is that I have had friends in the past where my goal for me is that I want to have a healthy relationship with everyone in my life where, you know, we have to communicate, we have to talk. It doesn't have to be every day, though sometimes, like with you guys, we do talk every day, genuinely. Sometimes we may not, but for the most part we do. But I have to have like a healthy sort of a relationship where there's no tension. I have had people that just couldn't handle the communication aspect of it, or there were other things behind how they were where they weren't a genuine true friend. There could have been jealousy, you know, the whole being, in a nutshell, two-faced, saying one thing to your face and then another thing behind your back.
Yep.
When I'm more of the person where I'm like, I'm going to tell you because I don't want to keep anything from you. This is how I feel. And I just want to be 100% transparent with me. That kind of ordeal. And guess what? We are definitely not friends anymore. So sometimes that happens. It's happened with family, especially for me here recently. That has happened. You do mourn the loss of people for sure. I mean, it's very difficult. It's like they're dead. They're dead to you in a way.
It's more of you're mourning the loss of the relationship you thought you had.
Yeah.
Because so it's like, in my experience, I have tried to have lifelong friendships and most of them fail because a lot of the time, kind of like what Matt said with some of her situations, people aren't willing to have the communication aspect. So the thing is, I always try to keep it real. I mean, sometimes I do get in my own feels and I delay it a little bit more than it should be, but eventually it will come through and be like, listen, dude, this is what's going on. That's a work in progress, you know? But I've had a lot of friendships where people aren't willing, like they can't receive the realness that I give. They're not receptive to the honesty.
Yeah.
Is basically what it comes down to. In my experience, in some friendships I've had, people are so used to being fake and are so used to people being fake with them that they think that your realness is fake.
Yeah.
And it's like counterproductive. And it's like no matter how hard you try, you just, for whatever reason, you're the enemy and it just doesn't work out. And that's okay. You don't have to be friends with everybody.
Yeah. Or that other person just doesn't want to put forth the effort. And the relationship that I have with my father, which this is a difficult subject for me, but that's what we're here for, right? Back after my papa passed away, which was my dad's father, my papa wanted nothing more in this world than for his son, my dad, to be a more proactive father because he knew he had it in him. And in a nutshell, after my papa passed away, I tried to push through with his wishes and try to be more connected with my dad. And that effort was not reciprocated. It's kind of weird, and it's such a weird subject for me because I genuinely did try to like invite my dad out to dinner with me and my brothers. I tried to talk to him more. I tried to, ask him if he wanted to go for like ice cream or something because I was still like, I was in my early 20s at that point, and he would not do it. The fact of the matter is, if somebody doesn't want to, they won't.
Yeah.
And I've had to learn that the hard way.
Yeah, you can't force people to communicate.
No, because I tried so hard. Like it was always me texting him first. It was always me calling him first. And then he started acting like he was annoyed that I was putting forth this effort to try to communicate with him after years of being disconnected. And that is when I woke up and realized I can't do this. I have to make the decision from this point forward, which was back in 2018. I had to make the decision as a 20-year-old woman to not communicate with my father unless he did it first because it was physically hurting me. It was affecting my life. And if someone doesn't put forth that effort to communicate with you, they're not fucking worth it.
Nope.
And I know that it's different because it is my father, my biological father. He should have put forth more effort because I'm his child, but that's his own ordeal. That's his own thing. Fuck him, whatever. But like, he didn't put forth that effort. Because of that, I've had to come to that realization over time with any relationship in my life. If you can't give me what I give you, I'm out.
Yeah, literally. You have to meet me at least halfway. Because I was going to say, I know what type of friend I want to be to people. And unfortunately, in my personal real, like, I don't know if you want to say real life, because you guys are part of my real life. In my home life, in my Wyoming life, I have yet to find somebody who fully reciprocates my friendship.
Yeah.
I have yet to do that. It gets lonely and it hurts sometimes. It just is what it is. I have high hopes that the expectation I have of myself to be a friend will one day be reciprocated. Like I said, in my Wyoming life, it's hard with you guys because you live 1,700 miles away, as I stated earlier. So, I mean, we're here, but we can't like physically like just call somebody and they'll just be there at the drop of a dime like Sierra is for you.
Right.
Matt. I don't have that.
Yeah.
If my parents and my brother are out of town, it literally, like, I have to figure it out myself. Like, if an emergency happened and my parents and brother were out of town, it would be pretty difficult for me to initially get a hold of somebody. There are people that once I got a hold of them, they would show up, but even getting a hold of them is still problematic.
Yeah.
All
I want for both of you guys, because privately, you have expressed these things to me, each of you have. And it's always made me emotional just how fortunate I am to have people like Sierra. And it's not just Sierra, like all of my friends, I can promise you, the ones that live close to me, if I needed them for anything, they would come to me and I would come to them. All of them would. And it's hard for me to fathom people in your lives just being so distant and they can't reciprocate what you give them. I can't fathom that. It's so hard for me. And I don't know if I'm just fortunate. I also have like these decade and a half long friendships that I have. We also kind of have a trauma bond because of everything that they saw me through, everything that I saw them through, like my parents divorcing and all that other kind of stuff. It's kind of trauma bonded us. Like they were my support system. I couldn't imagine not having them in my life after I was so raw, real, and vulnerable to them about everything.
And see, I've had people I've been raw, real, and vulnerable with who have then used that to try to further hurt me and have left me.
It's just unbelievable.
It gets to a point too, because I've told you my whole story about my biological father on the drive back from Atlanta, and I'm not going to get into that on this episode of the podcast anyways, because it's a long one. But our situations, at least the communication part of that aspect, is pretty similar, as you know. And it's easy when you're in situations like that, whether it be family or friends or whatever, to get down on yourself and be like, what is wrong with me?
Yeah.
Why does this always happen to me? But you have to understand that it's not you. I mean, every person has things that they can work on individually to become better people, okay?
Yeah.
Nobody's perfect. But also, if you find yourself repeatedly in situations like that, it's not you. And the whole point is every relationship you have in your life, like Matt said, family, friends, significant other, it's a two-way street and it's a work in progress, and it's not going to be roses and daisies and rainbows and sunshines all the time. And you have to be willing to put forth the effort to keep people in your lives. And you have to be willing to have, like the three of us earlier this week, sometimes uncomfortable conversations, because the end goal is to keep our friendship and keep it strong and keep it real and fluid and better. And if you want people to stay in your lives, you have to work at it.
Yep.
And it's not always easy.
True.
All of the conversation that we just had, my teenage self needed to hear that.
If you could tell younger you, like 10 years ago, type of thing.
Well, I think what a lot of people don't realize too is that, okay, so me and Berg, we each have the whole issue with our biological father. So people put a stereotype against women like us that we have daddy issues.
I had a man in my life who stepped up to be my actual dad.
Unfortunately, I did not have that.
No, but like you're saying, people like put stereotypes, and it's really unfortunate.
It's unfortunate because, I don't believe that my dad has affected my life. It may affect some relationship decisions as to why, like, I've chosen to be single for so long.
May I interrupt you?
Yeah.
I'm going to say from personal experience, and maybe, like, I can't tell you how you feel, but in my situation, it did affect my life, but not in a bad way. It made me the person that I am today, and it made me grow as a person. It gave me some insight on how I don't want to be towards people in relationships. So, I mean, the negativity of your father did not affect you in your life, but you've learned from that situation, and it did affect you in your journey of being a better person.
Yeah. I mean,
is what I will say.
There was a lot of hurt and a lot of tears that were shed. And, I know that in my teenage years, it was just my mom and my stepdad at the time. He didn't make things easier. I know for some of you, if you know anything, even just a sliver, like a picture of my personal life, I now have a new stepdad. My mom is in her third marriage, and it took her to kiss two frogs to find her Prince Charming. The first really nasty frog being my dad, and then the second frog being my ex-stepdad, who was even worse. So he literally
tell us how you really feel.
I mean, you guys know that story. I'm not getting into it. My stepdad at the time, he made things even more difficult for me to trust when I was a teenager. Again, this is like 10 something years ago when I was like a 15-year-old girl. I did not trust men. Like, I could not put trust in a man or a boy. I just could not do it. I was like, what the fuck? This is my example for men, because I had so many bad examples and I didn't have a real male figure that was worth a shit to show me anything. So, like, all that to say, is that it's been difficult and it has affected my life. Okay. But I grew from it, like you said, Berg. Like,
Yeah.
I grew from it. But I wish that teenage Mads did not measure her worth by what her father thought of her.
Yeah.
Because she thought that since her father didn't give a shit about her, no man ever would. And that's not true.
Which is entirely untrue. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I have had men show me that, other men, but we're not getting into that either.
Different topic for a different day.
Yeah. We've been talking a lot about that, but
Yeah.
I feel like it was
Jay-
necessary.
Jay, you got anything you want to throw in this topic since you unfortunately had to mute yourself due to background sounds?
Honestly, I think you guys said the bulk of it. Just not getting what you put in and people not being worth it if they don't give you what you deserve.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't know what you deserve until you grow or you have somebody say it to you and it finally clicks.
Sometimes you have to find out the hard way.
Yeah, that's the shit part of having to grow up.
Other thing I was going to add was you don't have to stay in a relationship that doesn't suit you. You don't have to stay in a relationship where people disrespect you, even if they're blood related to you.
Mm-hmm.
Facts.
Please don't ever feel that way. If people are mistreating you, even if they're family members, you do not have to put up with it.
Nope.
You deserve more.
Mm-hmm.
You need to respect yourself more. And it's gonna hurt, but
Yeah.
you will make it through.
The journey will be hard. It will be difficult.
It will last longer than you anticipate it will.
I mean, I'm 25. I can tell you it's taken every bit of the 10 plus years to really heal from it all. It's a long journey, but it's worth it. It is so worth it to be separated from that pain, from that anxiety, from that uncertainty of all things. I mean,
It gives you a strength you didn't know you had.
yeah.
In the end of it, sometimes when I get stuck on myself and I'm like, how am I going to get through this shit? Like, I was 17 years old and I looked at the man that is supposed to be my father and I said, I am leaving. I will never talk to you again. I don't want to see you ever again. If 17-year-old me can do that, I can do fucking anything.
Facts.
Mm-hmm.
I've had to tell myself that too.
Isn't it weird how sometimes you have to like have come to Jesus meetings with yourself?
Yeah.
Like, listen, bitch.
It took so many people to hear my story and like other people that are outside of the situation to look inwards and say, wow. And you went through all of that at such a young age. And then I've had people tell me things where they're like, that's why I feel like you're such a wonderful person. And I'm not saying that I'm a wonderful person. I feel like I'm very much short of one. But
Bitch.
to hear people say stuff like that to me, though, was so validating of the pain that I went through and how much work I've put into myself to be where I am.
Another thing to throw on top of all this is you don't truly know what people have been through in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
Like most people, unless they listen to this, would not know these things about us.
Nope.
You would never know. So you don't understand what battles people have had to face in their personal lives. And just because things don't seem that intense to you doesn't mean it wasn't intense to the person that it happened to.
Yeah. And it literally takes nothing to be good to people, first of all.
It costs $0 to be nice.
And second of all, you could be going through something that's really shitty, but that's not going to lessen someone else's pain. So, like, we are all going through shit. And instead of being like, well, I have it worse, like, this is happening and this is no.
It's not a competition.
Hold their hand and walk together.
Yeah.
We're all screwed. You know?
Yeah.
What's the point in being an asshole to somebody and making them feel worse just because?
There's no point. Because people do it to make themselves feel better. And in the end of the day, it doesn't make you feel better. You just feel like a shittier person for being a shitty person to people for no reason.
Yeah.
Anger is not the answer. And taking it out on people is not the answer.
Yeah. And I've lost like that sympathy for people who are like, I've had people around me that I work for that I'll say, well, this client was this, and this, and they said that this, and this. And they're like, well, they did just lose their mom, or they did just lose a child or something like super traumatic. And I'm like, okay, so I've, lost my grandmother who was like a mother to me the week before. And I'm not sitting here being a fucking dick face to people.
No, it doesn't. If you can't go out and socialize respectfully, then stay home.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
We've all gone through earth shattering, world changing things in our lives that have just completely transformed us as human beings. A pain that is just so, you feel it from inside out. And it's just one of those things where it's like, I feel this way. Like my whole world is upside down and I'm destroyed. And you're talking to me the way that you are because you're going through something similar to me.
Not even just that, like your earth-shattering, painful moment is not going to be equivalent to somebody else's. That doesn't make yours any more or any less.
Exactly. So it's just one of those things where it's like I've completely lost my sympathy for people who are just absolutely horrific human beings, and they use the excuse of X, X, and X, and it's like, whoa.
No, not an excuse.
You know what I mean? So anyway.
Yeah.
All right, well.
Should we go back to having fun now?
Let's go back to having fun.
Hope you enjoyed our therapy session. Our Venmos are. I made that joke last week. It's not funny anymore.
No.
It's funny to me.
I know Jay wasn't here.
Woohoo! I'm here.
Please Venmo your therapist money to Jamie this week. Thank you.
That'd be nice. You could do that if you want. I'm not gonna say no.
I'm not gonna say no. Okay, guys. So we asked on our Instagram and Twitter if you guys had any questions for us on this podcast. Nothing has been off limits, and you guys asked some really good questions. So I'm going to let Jay go first with her question from a very special viewer.
Special viewer.
The most special viewer named Riley Stallings. If you don't know who that is, fuck you. I'm just kidding.
I mean, actually, though, but still, like, you should know who Riley
educate
is.
yourself. All right, so Riley asked, if you could investigate any haunted location or mysterious phenomenon in the world, where would you choose to go? And what devices would you like to use? I think that I would probably go to either Trans-Allegheny or... Shit, what was the other one? Why can't I remember? 911. Help.
Rolling Hills, isn't that what else?
Rolling Hills, yeah. Thank you. I said
she's like, she phoned a friend.
I did phone a friend. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Those two locations had specific stories that really, I don't know if it was that resonate, just maybe just like I had a connection to the story itself. That just I'd want to go there. Any place in the world, those would be the places that I would go. And I would use the freaking spirit box. I don't think people use the spirit box enough. I freaking love that shit. I think it's so damn cool.
The white noise creeps me out with the spirit box.
It is creepy until you hear people talking, and then you're just like, okay, like the white noise isn't so bad anymore.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, I told you I did that. You know, I did do that. They called out specific family members and shit. Like, I'm not scared of the white noise anymore. It ain't shit. Yeah, I love the spirit box. I think it's very cool. Madeline, would you like to go next?
So I do like to go next. So I kind of touched on this last week. I love historical locations, like European historical locations. Oh my God, it's just everything to me. So I'm gonna zone in on two places that I would absolutely die to go to. Literally, Hampton Court Palace. It's a little bit outside of London, and Hever Castle. The reason why I would go to these locations is because I'm obsessed with the era of like the early Tudor period and a little bit before that, like the Wars of the Roses. That's my expertise. That's what I enjoy a lot. So going to Hever Castle, which was Anne Boleyn's childhood home, there have been so many sightings of Anne Boleyn herself, and people have caught all these very fascinating paranormal things. I would love to go there. Same thing with Hampton Court Palace. So much has happened. Let's add an honorable mention. The Tower of London would be so fucking spooky. I would love to go to the Tower of London because so many people...
You know what's crazy is I was going to talk about the Tower of London.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, it's so spooky how the Tower of London it was like a multi-purpose kind of ordeal back in like the medieval period. Kings and queens would stay within the Tower of London, especially before coronations. They had apartments there. I find that fascinating because so many people died in the Tower of London, and like the princes in the tower, that happened too. They just mysteriously went missing, and I would just love to just bring out like an EVP session, spirit box. I would do it all. I would do it all in all those places because I know that the history is so rich there that I feel like the evidence that I could capture on any kind of device would just be so fascinating. I just know it.
Wasn't Henry VIII, two of his wives were executed there?
Yes, they were.
Yeah.
It was Anne Boleyn and Catherine Howard. So they both kind of fell to their demise at the Tower of London. Places like that, I just know that I would feel that energy. I mean, so spooky. It gives me chills just thinking about it. But Hampton Court Palace was also where Henry VIII resided for quite a good bit in his reign. I would love to go to those 3 places. What about you, Bergie?
Well, so you stole the Tower of London from me. But I would want to use the PS device there just because like I haven't seen that device until the crew used it on Project Fair, and it's just so cool to me. I don't know. I like it. It's like the Ovilus on steroids, in my opinion. But since Riley asked about mysterious phenomena, I actually Googled some real fast, and I found this one, and I just think it's kind of creepy. And you guys are going to have to Google the picture to see it. It's called the Blood Falls of Antarctica.
Oh.
And yeah, it looks literally like the snow is covered in blood.
Ooh.
Blood Falls is a waterfall which shoots blood red water into a river. It was first seen in the year 1911 in eastern part of Antarctica.
Ooh.
So the reason it's colored the color of blood was revealed to be oxidized iron in brine salt water. But Google it, it looks spoopy. So really there's nothing to investigate there. I would just take a camera to take photos.
Valid.
But here, I'll send you guys a photo so you can get your reaction on the podcast.
Ew.
Yeah. Doesn't it look like a murder happened?
That's weird.
Right on the snow.
Ew.
Yeah. See?
Yeah,
Creepy, huh?
That's creepy as shit.
Spooper.
Hard pass.
Yeah, everybody Google it. I don't know. Pretty interesting. Jemmy, do you want to ask Riley's bonus question?
Riley's bonus question. You best believe I do. Riley's bonus question was, why is Jamie McGoofy Stupid the catchiest name ever? Well, go ask my mom, Madeline. She named me. Mommy Man.
Yeah.
Why did you name me that?
Well, it all started.
Technically, Jamie named herself that. Madeline threw out McGoofy Stupid, and Jamie's like, that's my full government name.
Yeah, I don't even know where that came from. I pulled it out of my booty. I pulled
With
it
your
out.
antenna.
I was gonna say, was your antenna in the way?
Yeah.
Good shit.
She pulled it out of her antenna.
Yeah.
Plot twist.
I mean, well, if you really want to know the truth, I did name Jamie. I gave birth to her, and I
Whoa.
gave birth to her in a Wawa, and that's where it all started. And then I immediately started feeding her super extra energy smoothies, and she became a goofy stoop.
It's because she's an alien.
Yeah.
That's why she had smoothies for breakfast as an infant.
Yeah.
A strawberry banana smoothie from Mama with 2 energy shots. Because I've never felt more alive.
Worth it.
So worth it.
Just don't go into cardiac arrest, okay?
We have to get Wawa again.
Yes.
Please, we have to.
On a secret mission that we're doing soon.
Yeah.
A secret mission trip.
I've never heard of a secret mission before.
We're going on a trip in our favorite rocket ship.
Zooming through the sky.
Little Einsteins.
Well,
this question is from Bree. Is that how you pronounce it? It's BREI. Her on Twitter is @Bree_D as in dog, G as in giraffe. She said, what urban legends do you all believe in? Oh, and the $1 million question, is Bigfoot real? Yes, I think Bigfoot is real. I don't think that Bigfoot is as big as everybody thinks he is, probably.
Bigfoot is right here.
Oh, it's Joe.
No, I am Bigfoot. It's me.
You're an alien and Bigfoot?
Damn straight.
I've
actually, so plot twist, Jamie is the urban legend and she just shapeshifts into each of them.
Bitch, you're not telling my secrets today.
I was gonna say I've seen Bigfoot before.
Ooh.
Yeah, I actually live with him. His name is Samuel. My brother.
I always tell people that my brother looks like a bear and they're like, what? And then when you see him, you're like, oh, that makes sense. So yes, I believe in urban legends. I think that sometimes I wonder, like with mermaids and stuff, like somebody at some point had to see something that would make them create that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of like where I'm at.
Yeah.
logistically with all of these things.
I mean,
At some point, somebody saw something enough to the point where they made up these creatures.
We'll
So
see.
some variation of them has to be real at some point in all of history.
It's funny that you say that because that's the urban legend that I believe in the most is mermaids or sirens more so because I believe all those years ago when they were traveling the ocean trying to find new land to take over because they're a bunch of fucking white people that thought that they had to take over every piece of land alive. But that's not here nor there. They sailed across the
Fucking
ocean
weird.
blue. The legends go that they would hear women singing to them in the ocean to try to lure them in so they could take them to the bottom of the ocean and sacrifice their souls. But
Dun dun dun.
I have seen in modern times men that go out there and they do deep sea fishing and stuff like that. There's been TikToks, YouTube videos, all this kind of stuff of like you can hear the singing or the screaming and you know that it's out there, it's close, but it's trying to lure you in. It's trying to lure you to the edge of the boat so you can really look into it and next thing you know you're in the water and you're gone. So I believe in it. I actually genuinely do believe in it. I believe that they saw it back all those centuries ago when they were first on those little teeny tiny wooden ships sailing across the ocean, which is unfathomable to me, honestly, truthfully. But that's a whole thing within itself. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the scope of how small those ships were, but the fact that those little teeny ships sailed across the ocean is unbelievable to me. So I have theories on that myself, but whatever. I believe that they definitely saw sirens or mermaids, whatever, and that's where it came from. They saw it with their own eyes. Because how come it's lasted this long? How come the legend has gone for this long? Just like Bigfoot. It's like people have seen different variations of it. I mean, I still think that they're probably catching sights in North Carolina of my brother, but to each his own. I am indifferent about Bigfoot. I mean, I feel like nothing is impossible, but I think that they're really good at hiding, and that's why they've survived so long.
I was gonna say people might be like, well, how come nobody's like gotten full evidence of it? But
People have.
in reality also, like, it's very much possible that there are creatures on this planet that are smarter than human beings. So just gonna leave that right there.
The US government just announced that aliens are real. But like, who's to say that Bigfoot isn't just an alien attempting to adapt to the environment to spy on people?
Yeah, who knows?
Good point.
So, when we started to talk about things that are closer to us, which we'll get into later, it brought forward a really cool urban legend that is local to me, which is Suskin Road. It's in Pittston, Pennsylvania. So it was where quote unquote Black Bridge used to be. It was a very narrow bridge and only one car could pass at a time. So people would stop and honk the horn to let somebody know that they were coming so they didn't just like absolutely annihilate each other. So the legend claims that if you honked the horn 3 times, a woman in white, who they said was a bride that was left at the altar. I don't know where the hell that came from, but whatever. Women in white are scary. It doesn't have to be a bride left at the altar, dog. She would appear outside the car, sometimes in the rearview mirror, and scream. People also said it was a teenager who was killed on the road on her prom night searching for a ride home.
No.
Other people think it's a mother and child who died in a car crash on the way to the hospital. And somebody else says it's a ghost of a young girl who escaped from a mental institution and leapt to her death from the bridge.
Interesting.
That's right down the road for me. I drive there sometimes. I drove there.
Now you have to go hunting for urban legends.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't go there and honk my horn 3 times. That saying, like, if you fuck around, you find out. I'm not the kind of person to fuck around to find out. I guess I could, and I guess tell everybody who it actually is. But like, my theory is that's always been like a really serious thing in this area, and we cannot discredit anything. We don't freaking know.
It's true.
Welcome to Pennsylvania, bitches.
So we have
Yes.
one final question. This question is from Melissa.
Hey, Melissa.
Shout out to Melissa.
We love you, Mo.
So Melissa asks, What is your go-to snack and drink when recording the podcast? I'll just go ahead and tell you. Typically, since we're definitely doing this from now on, is recording on Saturday mornings. I always have coffee with me, and I try to eat before I get on. But earlier, I had a little popsicle because I'm a sneaky little bitch.
Ooh.
So,
I love when you talk.
So animated.
thank you. What about you, Bug?
Like you said, every time we record is Saturday morning, and it's 2 hours earlier in the day for me than it is for you two. So I always have coffee and water. And I don't normally have snacks because I don't want chewing sounds on the podcast. But when we started this episode, specifically today, I was eating some jerky. Any snacks or drinks for you, Jamie?
I do not really have a drink that I bring along, but I do get a nice bowl of blueberries.
Nice.
I love me some blueberries.
I love blueberries.
I've had a very serious blueberry addiction in which I have at least like 2 or 3 bowls of blueberries a day.
What the fuck? Why don't we ever get blueberries when we're together?
I don't know.
We never get them. We should. Like, I love blueberries.
We should.
Yeah, I
We
love
should just get like 5 containers of blueberries next time.
That would be the only way that you would get any because I typically go through like 2 containers in like 2 or 3 days.
We need like 10 containers of blueberries next time we're together.
Yeah, they're so
Love
yummy.
Blueberries.
A nice substitute for something that's actually sugary.
Yeah.
Satisfies that sweet tooth.
Melissa also asked another question. Do the Fear Babes have a mascot? I mean,
Yeah, it's Bigfoot.
No, I think the mascot should probably be some variation of a cartoon weenie at this point.
All right, I am on it right now. I am currently drawing
A
our
cartoon weenie.
mascot.
He's our mascot.
Oh my god, I'm so excited for this.
She actually meant, because she told me, she's like, I actually meant like one of your pets or something, but okay. It's like, nope, it's a cartoon weenie. It would probably be Duchess just because she's the only one that's actually been vocal on the podcast.
yeah.
I mean, that we've left in. Diesel sometimes barks in the background, but we've never left him in, so it's Duchess.
Yeah, Duchess
I
is
love
As far as
her.
pets go.
She's
She's
cute.
like the perfect mixture of Diesel and Annie.
She is.
She's
Weird.
precious, and she's so soft.
Sweet baby.
Tell her that I love her.
I shall. She may have heard you.
That's adorable.
I know, she's sleepy. Oh my goodness. Her little wet spot under her nose is so cute.
Oh, cute.
You toot.
So, as I am drawing the weenie for our new mascot,
But the cartoon weenie.
a cartoon feckin' weenie, I would like to transition back to local hauntings. Do you guys have any specific hauntings that aren't well known that are super cool and intriguing and really fascinating to you? I'm in locations. You got any locations, bro? Send me your location.
Turns location services on the phone.
So, if I were to bring up a location that not a lot of people know, but is, again, huge in Northeast Pennsylvania, it is the Smurl House. It's in West Pittston. I don't know what it is about Pittston. It's a haunted place, from literal haunted buildings and people to terrifying people. No offense to Pittston people, but wow, don't want to go there. Don't go there if you have the choice. Don't do it, except maybe to see the Smurl House because it's really cool. There was a movie in 1991 called The Haunted that was based on the Smurls. Ed and Lorraine Warren ended up going to this family's house because they were hearing loud noises, bad odors. Their dog was thrown into a wall.
Whoa.
Their
Now
beds,
that's just uncalled for. You do not touch the dog.
right? Fuck that. Their mattresses were being shaken. One of their daughters was pushed down a flight of stairs, and some of the family members were physically and sexually assaulted. So to have the biggest, baddest demonologist to come out to help them, it was freaking legit. It's
Whoa.
something that locals drive by, but like pray before they go by it because it's terrifying.
Sounds terrifying.
Yeah, it is absolutely crazy. That's a really cool one here in Pennsylvania that I don't think a lot of people know about. What about you guys? Boogie. You go first.
Okay, so I don't know if a lot of people know this or not. There is what was a relocation center in Wyoming called Hardin Mountain. Was technically used as like a concentration camp for Japanese Americans during World War II. World War II. I cannot fucking talk today. There's not a lot of like. I was trying to find really good haunting stories, and there's not a lot, which is kind of intriguing to me. Like makes me want to go there even more. But basically, after the attack of Pearl Harbor, a bunch of Japanese Americans were forced to go to this concentration camp or relocation center. Over 3 years, the camp would house 13,997 people.
Whew.
This says at one point, so I'm on onlyinyourstate.com. At one point, there were enough people living at Heart Mountain that it could have been considered the third largest city in Wyoming at the time. The population within the camp walls was 10,767 people. Closed the camp on November 10th, 1945. There's a lot of research people are going to have to do their own because there's a lot going on here. But employees, current and past, have reported many bizarre and frightening experiences, coughing and voices whispering when nobody else is around. Visitors have reported very similar experiences. There are numerous tales of people feeling watched, hearing phantom music playing from empty barracks, and even a friendly host, that's in quotation marks, that leads guests around on tours only to disappear shortly after the tour begins. So yeah, it's near Powell, Wyoming. If anybody wants to go investigate it with me, let me know.
Pit stop.
Pit stop.
We're doing
Yeah,
it.
when you guys come to Wyoming for the tour day Wyoming, we're just gonna go to Heart Mountain really fast. Mads, any not well-known places in North Carolina?
Well, I will say that mine is fairly well known. But I would like to talk about it anyway because I'm not so sure very many people know of the hauntings that occur at this place. So I'm just gonna put my own little spin on it. So the place that I would like to discuss is the Biltmore Estate in Asheville, North Carolina. A lot of people have heard about this. It sits at the top of a mountain in the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Carolina. Stunning views. It's a beautiful, beautiful, oversized mansion, and it sits on 80,000 acres of land. Just try to comprehend that. 80,000 acres. It was built in, I think they said that it began its construction in 1889. The original owner of the house was George Washington Vanderbilt. So it started in 1889 and didn't completing the build until 1895, which is a pretty, it took 6 years to build. I could totally see that with how huge it is. The Biltmore Estate sees a lot of visitors every year. That's one of the most popular weekend trips here in North Carolina is to go to Asheville to see the Biltmore. They offer like so many cool things, especially at Christmas. It's beautiful. It gets a lot of tourists, that's for sure. But they have a lot of ghost stories. And honestly, I'm going to be completely transparent with you guys here. I have not personally heard of very many ghost stories. I didn't even know that the place was haunted. I mean, I guess it would make sense because it was built in like the 1880s and finished completion in the 1890s, but it's still very weird what people will get. Past visitors and staff members, and I'm reading this from AshevilleTerrors.com. Many past visitors and even staff members have told stories of hearing a voice whispering the name George repeatedly in the hallways. It is believed the spirit of Edith Vanderbilt herself is wandering the halls and possibly searching for her husband, who is also believed to be another spirit that is reported to live in the mansion as well. And at night, some people will, if they're working the grounds like employees, they've heard sounds of laughter, glasses clinking, and party-like chatter. And as you can imagine, with the Biltmore being such a huge estate, they always had parties there. So hearing the phantom sounds of laughter and glasses clinking, that sounds so creepy to me.
Glasses clinking is like just spoopy for some reason.
Yeah, it really is. In the next paragraph, they continue to say there have been reports of strange smells, cold spots, and eerie feelings when visitors would go up or down the stairs. They have a lot of stairs in that place, let me just tell you. They also, so we mentioned a couple episodes back the creepiness of mannequins being in haunted locations. I have no idea why they do that, but they also have mannequins at the Biltmore. They're headless and they have them stored in one of the 200 rooms in the house, and they're dressed in period appropriate clothing, which is so creepy. But mostly people say that they see George Washington Vanderbilt and his wife Edith frequently, which I would imagine so. I mean, they spent a good portion of the end of their life there, and it was passed down for generations after they had passed away. So I could totally see them still having a heavy presence even in the afterlife. It gives me the spoopies because the place is so huge. It really creeps me out. But anyway, that's my location. I'm sure a lot of people probably thought I would say something about the USS North Carolina, but I've personally never been to the USS North Carolina. I've seen it in person. It's docked in Wilmington. A lot of people go there. They have like day tours and, of course, ghost tours and all that kind of fun stuff, but I've never done it. Just the thoughts of being on a ship like that is so unappealing to me. I don't know why. I feel like I would be like claustrophobic or something. So
Yeah, fuck that.
Fuck it.
Yeehaw.
One more thing I want to add. This is specifically dedicated to Connor, as it was his suggestion
Oh, yeah.
that we do a weenie of the week. So, the weenie of the week this week is Chelsea, because this is the one and only time it will ever actually be Chelsea for any legitimate reason, and that was because we had no episode of Project Fear this week. I don't foresee Chelsea ever being our weenie of the week ever again, because we love her. Not that we don't love the guys, but they very much act more weenie-ish than Chelsea does. So, there you have it. Sorry, Chelsea. We love you, but this was the only time you ever would be the weenie of the week, so it just made sense.
Exactly. There's no episode, so there's no valid reason for you to be a weenie.
So by default, you're the weenie of the week.
Enjoy the reward. You get one hot dog and some belly button lint.
Why belly button lint?
Why not?
Touche. It's gross.
Okay.
Maybe that's why. Why not?
Fine, I'll add something else. Chelsea, you can have a quarter. God.
No, you have to save. We're broke, Madeline. You have to save the quarters.
Unless y'all actually want to Venmo me, I'll donate some to Chelsea's Weenie Foundation.
No. The quota actually would be meaningful because I'm so broke that it would be an honor to give her a quota.
Okay, but does that mean that the guys get quotas
No.
if they're the weenie of the week? Because
No.
then Dakota would become rich real
No.
fast.
Dakota gets nothing.
Dakota gets nothing. This is the only week we're giving out a quota for the weenie of the week, only because it's Chelsea. Next week, we'll be bringing back guests, starting with Victoria. We had to do a little switcheroo in our schedule. It was supposed to be Bree and then Victoria, but Bree will be out of town next week. So we're keeping Victoria same week she was originally planned to be. Bree will be the week after, and then we will resume contests, not this week, but next week, to continue having more guests on.
Hooray!
Yeah, so next week we'll talk about the second half of Tana's episode at Joliet Prison. I'm very excited about the second half of that episode. I'm very intrigued.
Oh yeah, we get to find out who gets handcuffed.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't wait for that. That's gonna be super interesting. So
That's gonna be kinky. Sorry. Sorry.
It is if you think of it that way.
I had to go there, you know? You can't pull out my handcuffs, bro. What the fuck?
Well, he is. He going to, so.
he did.
Well, then you get
He
what you
already
get.
did. Well, bye, babes.
Bye, babes.
Bye, babes.
What the fuck?
Okay. Boom, fucking nailed it, question mark?
Maybe we
Yeah.
did.
Let's be confident. We fucking nailed that shit. We always do. Nailed it.
Yeah, we got kind
I
of
guess
deep.
we'll find out.
We cried.
Okay.
We cried a little bit.
We laughed, we cried, we had a good time. I'm stopping the recording now.